Morning, students. So now we will study our next chapter, that is nutrition in animal. Okay. I hope the previous chapter, nutrition in plant, is clear to you now. Now in this chapter we will discuss the certain topics like digestion in human being, where we will talk about mouth, food pipe, small intestine, large intestine, and absorption of food. Digestion in grass eating animals, digestion in amoeba. So here we are going to talk about the nutrition in animals. So nutrition is always about obtaining food. So whenever we talk about living organisms, so something that distinguishing between living and non-living is the processes which take place inside the body of a living organism. And these processes are known as life processes. So in our previous lesson, we spoke about the nutrition in plant, that is how plant obtain their food, what are the different ways by which different plant get their nutrition, which is very important for their survival. So here we will see what are the various ways by which animals can obtain their food. So the life processes which are common to both plants as well as animals, like nutrition, respiration, transportation, excretion, control and coordination, reproduction, growth and development, and movement. Okay. So now all these life processes are common for all living organisms. So when you talk about nutrition, it deals with the everything related to food. How the organism get their food, what are their sources, how the food enter our body or in the living thing's body, and how it give energy. Respiration is all about breathing, where exchange of gases takes place. Now processes might be little different in plants and animals, but all these life processes occurred in both plants and animals. Okay. Now next is transportation, means the transporting the nutrients, the essential things to different part of the body. Excretion is all about throwing waste from the body. Control and coordination is about synchronization between different parts of the body. Reproduction, to produce similar organism over and over again so that the entire species can be sustained. For example, human being reproduce to give birth to a new human beings. So elephant give birth to a new elephant, okay, and so on. That is how the various species can sustain generation after generation. Understood? Now the next is growth or development. That is also another aspect of living organism. We see that the plant growing, the living organism growing, it grows and develop. So overall growth of an organism is also a process of which is taking place inside the organism. Movement means the ability to move from one place to another, which gives a mobility. Understood? So these are the various processes which distinguish between a living and non-living organism. Okay. So now when we talk about nutrition, the same question always comes to your mind, that why are we learning about nutrition? Now animals, we have a variety of animals. So let's take an example of a human being, because we all able to relate it better. So we perform so many different activities, like we perform yoga, we do a lot of physical activities, we also do some jogging. Okay, so all these activities, what do they need? They need energy. Now if I ask you to run for 10 kilometers, so after running after 10 kilometers, you tend to get tired. If I ask again to run for 10 kilometers, then what will happen? You will become more tired and then you become weak, because after that if I ask you to run for another 30 kilometers, you will not going to do that, because you do not have any energy left with you. Then you will not be able to perform this work. So when I say work, I'm not talking about only physical activity. If it is a mental activity also, So if brain is working so much when he is thinking, when any person is thinking, so a lot of energy needed in that also. Okay, when you're sitting one chair for 3 hours and you are studying, you are actually consuming a lot of energy. So by the end of these 3 hours, you will feel tired. You might feel hungry. You might feel thirsty. Okay. So each of the activities which we do, eating, cooking, studying, running, dancing, anything, everything require energy. In fact, even when we sleep, okay, we actually spending any energy that we have. So that is also not true. I do agree that when we sleep, we use less energy as compared to when we are awake, but it is not that we are not spending any energy in that. Even though we are sleeping, a lot of life processes are still taking place in our body. For example, we are still breathing. The process of respiration is still happening. Correct? So even when we are sleeping, the processes of blood circulation is still happening. So all these processes which are still taking place inside our body, they also need some energy. So some energy is continuously being spent inside our body. And when the energy gets over, we need more energy. So all these activities need energy. Like, how do we get these energy? And we get new energy, the question is. So the energies come from the food which we eat. Like each of these food items have some of them are vegetables, some of them are cereals, okay, some of them are even eat another animals like fishes, eggs, etc. So everybody have a different food habit, but each of these food, what do they provide? They provide nutrients to our body. What are nutrients? These are the substances which are needed for providing us energy. Okay. So how do we define nutrition? It is the process of obtaining food and changing it into a simple absorbable form. Now when I say food, some of them might eat soil, some of them might eat other animals. So why do they have different? So they have different food habit, and when these food get inside their body, it's changed into an absorbable form which can be easily absorbed. We just don't want to eat sand in our body. Sandwich. So that if we eat any sandwich, then it can be it should be broken down to some simple form so that it can be absorbed by the different parts of our body. Okay, and then give us some energy. Now some of the very simple reasons why do organisms need food. First is food contain nutrients, and nutrients are those substances which provide nourishment that are needed for our growth and development of our living organism. Food provides us nutrients. Food also provides us energy, and with that energy we are able to perform all the activities. It also helps in cell repair, cell growth, because all these things, all these processes which are happening inside, they need energy, and the energy comes from food. It also increases resistance against diseases. Now when we eat food properly, what happens? You get proper energy. Now when your body has good amount of energy, when you stay healthy, your probability of falling ill is less. So basically, if you eat healthy, you stay stronger, your resistance against diseases increases. So that is also one very important role of the nutrition. So these are the reason that's why an organism needs food. Now the question is, what are the various modes of nutrition? Like how different animals obtain their food? What are the different ways? Now forget about the animals. All living organisms, they obtain their food in just two different ways. One is autotrophic and second is heterotrophic, which I told you in chapter 1 also. Auto means self and hetero means when we depend on another. So autotrophic means which they do, self-dependent means they do not depend on any other organism for their food. Such are called autotrophic. So they prepare their own food. And heterotropic means, I told you that when we depend on other organism for our food. So they depend on somebody else for their food. Now let us talk about human being. What do you think in humans? Humans are heterotropic or autotropic? Just think about it. So we are heterotropic. We depend on other for our food. We depend on plants directly or indirectly for our food. There are some plants which were heterotropic as well, but most of them are autotropic. So in this lesson we are only talk about animals, and all animals are heterotropic. None of the animals prepare their own food. So all animals depend on plants either directly or indirectly. Okay. So this heterotropic mode of nutrition can be of many different types. Like some animals might be depends on dead and decaying substance, decaying organism. So they are known as saprophytic mode of nutrition. Some animals depend on another living organism for their food. They live inside the body of another living organism or living plant or animal, we can say. So they are parasitic. And holozoic is that mode of nutrition where organism take solid food. Solid food intake happen in holozoic nutrition. So all of these fall under the category of heterotropic, because in each of these the animal is actually dependent on some other animal for their food. So parasitic and saprotroph, I already told you about these topic in chapter number 1. So now we will talk about holozoic animals. Those animals who intake the complex organic matter as food. So that food cannot provide energy directly. Okay, it can be converted to some simple form, and only then it will be able to provide us energy. So you look at these things, a lot of animals here, they are all holozoic animals. That means they eat something which is very complex organic matter. So that is their food. So here again, these holozoic animals are also very different from, here you see that goat, rabbit, horse. These are all those animals which directly eat plants. So these are also called herbivores. Why? Because they have directly dependent on plant. Here you see tiger and lion. So they are called carnivores because they feed on animals which feed on plant. So basically tiger might eat deer, and deer eat plants. So basically these carnivores, they can eat up the herbivores. So they eat on other animals. And you have a third category who is called omnivores. So human beings are called omnivore because omnivores are those which eat both plant as well as animals. Like human being, they eat plant, like plant or plant product. They also eat animal and animal product or animal product. Okay. So they are the example of omnivores. Okay. So these are all holozoic animals because what they eat, it is in the form of, it is always a complex form. Any dish. So anything which eaten by the holozoic animal, once it get inside your body, it needs to be broken down into a simplest form, and then that simplest form will be able to provide you energy. So what happened to that complex food when it get inside our body and how it provide energy to our body? So we are going to look at that. So that is what we discuss in holozoic nutrition. So this holozoic nutrition involve multiple steps. So let us look at the various steps which involve in holozoic nutrition. First is ingestion, that is the intake of food. The complex food is being taken by inside the body. That is called ingestion. In means anything taken in. Next is digestion. It is a very important step because this is the step during which the complex food is being broken down into a simpler form. And how this process happen, that is not that simple, but we are going to discuss it. So there is a lot of enzymes which help in the process of digestion, which break down the complex food into the simpler form. And the next step is absorption. The simple food is now absorbed by the body. And how it is absorbed by the different parts of the body? It is it is transported through the blood or lymph. Lymph is also a fluid like blood which flows throughout the body. So we will not get into the detail of about these. Lekin we are talking about the blood in our entire body. So if you want to transport something to one particular part of the body, what we can do is we just dissolve the substance in our blood. So the blood will goes anyways to any part of the body and that particular substance get transported to the different part of the body. So that's how the concept of transportation happens. The next is assimilation, where the absorbed food get utilized for energy needed for various activities. So that is the reason why we taken in food, because food is going to provide us energy. So in assimilation, the food which has been absorbed, that food is going to provide energy. So that energy production part happens in assimilation. And finally, the egestion. So in egestion means taking in, egestion means taking out. So what is the food that is not digested? All those undigested food is thrown out of the body. So why not all the food digested? Because the digestive enzyme, they also have certain limitation. They can break down only to certain substance. Okay. So there are there might be certain component which not been broken down by these enzymes. So what will happen to those? They do not get assimilated. So they become a waste. So that is thrown out as a part of egestion. So these are the 5 important steps which are involved in the process of Holozoic nutrition. Now we are going to discuss each steps in detail. Now before we talk about these steps in human being, let us start with some other or a simpler animal. Because human being is a quite complex animal. So let's start with amoeba. So amoeba is a unicellular organism. That is only one cell. So in human being we have thousands of cells inside our body. But in amoeba there is only one cell and it does all the job. It helps in eating the food. It helps in excreting out waste product. It helps in moving from one place to another. Means everything is done by just one cell. So it is a unicellular organism. This also have Holozoic nutrition. This also takes complex food. So that is very, very interesting. The way amoeba takes food inside its body with the help of only one cell. So how exactly it happens? So in case of amoeba also, the nutrition is not only one step. It involves lot of steps. First step is again ingestion. Ingestion, that is intake of food, is happen with the help of pseudopodia. Pseudo means false and podia means feet. It is like a false feet, not the true feet but a false feet. So do you see anything which look like feet in amoeba? Not really. It doesn't have a specific shape. It has an irregular shape, but it is very flexible. So pseudopodia is nothing but these extension which you see on the screen, which actually crawls on the surface, and that's how it moves from one place to another. So pseudopodia it acts like a false feet because it helps the animals to move from one place to another. So this pseudopodia also help in intake of food, and this process of intake of food is called phagocytosis. This is very important and very interesting as well. So here we can see the exact process takes in food. So this is the amoeba. You see, this is the body of amoeba. Shapes keeps changing. So it changed in such a way that the food trapped here. So this is basically a food particle, and this is the amoeba. I hope you're able to see the screen. So basically what happened? Food enter inside the body of amoeba. Ingestion happen. Ingestion could happen due to the movement of pseudopodia. So this type of movement which help amoeba to move from one place to another is termed as phagocytosis. Now once the food get inside, it is digested. There are a lot of enzymes present inside the amoeba. which are released by the food vacuoles. So inside the amoeba you see some structure. Here you can see. So these digestive enzymes help in breaking down the complex food into simpler form. Now once the food is broken down, this type of digestion is termed as intracellular digestion because it takes place inside the cell. This entire body of amoeba is nothing but just one cell. Process of digestion happening inside one cell. That is why it is called intracellular digestion. Once it is digested, the food is digested. This digested food is diffuses to cytoplasm. Fluid which is present inside the cell. Here you have a fluid structure. That fluid again is just like a blood. So blood moves from one place to another. So this fluid also moves from one place to another. And that's how it carries the digested food to different parts of the amoeba. Then the fourth step, assimilation, where the absorbed food stored and utilized later for synthesis. So once the digested food is absorbed, so the food is, so we do not use all the food directly, so we keep it stored, and whenever it is required, we utilize some part of it. That's how utilize for energy. It is not necessary that amoeba needs all the energy just at once. So it will be needing energy every time when it does some work. So as it needs energy, similarly the absorbed food can be utilized. And finally the egestion, where the undigested food is expelled out through the cell membrane. So cell membrane is nothing but the wall surrounding the cell. That is called cell membrane. So whichever food is not digested, that is thrown out of the body. So you see